All right, so the Saints were dealt with sudden and unfortunate news the other day when Derek Carr announced his retirement from the NFL. This comes as a result of a shoulder injury that Derek Carr sustained that's going to require surgery. And so Derek Carr was upfront and honest with his physicians when he asked, if I move forward with this operation, will I be the same guy? Will I be the same player that I've always been? Will I have the same zip on the ball? Will I be able to perform at the same level that I've been able to for most of my career if I move forward with this operation? And when the physician, the doctor, couldn't answer that question with an honest yes, Derek Carr knew that it was time to retire from the NFL. And I could not imagine how hard that decision had to have been to make. If you're Derek Carr, being a quarterback in the NFL is your lifelong dream. Football is your passion. And so just placing myself in Derek Carr's shoes, I could not imagine how challenging it would be to be faced with that decision, just given the magnitude of it, and then having to move forward with retiring from the NFL. And so I acknowledge that, and I also want to credit Derek Carr for his humility in this decision because it shows that he prioritized his team first. He knew that he wouldn't be able to deliver the same amount of value that he promised the Saints when he signed the contract with them back in 2023 if he continued to play. And so he knew that it was time for him to retire. He took his own interest out of it. He put his team first, even if that meant stepping away from the game forever. And I just could not imagine how tough that decision could have been to make. But I want to congratulate Derek Carr on an incredible 11-year career. Derek Carr was able to live out his lifelong dream for 11 years. He saw his passion come into fruition. That's the American dream. That's what we all aspire to do. And so from the bottom of my heart, congratulations to Derek Carr for being able to do that. And love him or hate him, the guy had a great career. So caps off to Derek Carr. Just assessing this situation from the Saints standpoint now. What do the New Orleans Saints do here moving forward? Well, to all you Saints fans out there, take a step back here with me. Breathe in, breathe out, inhale, exhale. Everything is going to be okay, I promise. First and foremost, Derek Carr's decision to retire benefits both him and the Saints organization overall from a financial standpoint. What has been the main pain point for the Saints organization these past several years? Cap space. They've been a fixture in the red. Well, as a result of Derek Carr's decision to retire, the Saints are going to get $30 million in cash and salary cap relief, which is monumental for that organization as it continues to chart its course out of the red. And Derek Carr will still receive his $10 million roster bonus, which is fantastic for him as well. Derek Carr's decision to retire is also very timely, as he made the decision in May, which gives the Saints organization ample time to conjure up a strategy for how they're going to address the quarterback position this year and in years moving forward. If Derek Carr made this decision in August and the Saints were anticipating him to be the starter this whole time, the Saints would be screwed as they'd have to resort to their plan B or maybe even plan C. That would be a terrible situation. But Derek Carr retired in May with still several months remaining until kickoff. And so the Saints can develop an intentional strategy here moving forward to follow. And when you assess the big picture for the Saints here, your quarterback depth chart has 3 guys on it. 3 guys who are all still on their rookie contracts in Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shough, and Jake Haener. So that gives the Saints freedom in the sense that they're not tied to a guy contractually with a lofty extension where you're facing the pressure if he doesn't perform, you're going to face financial backlash and ramifications. These are all guys that are on the rookie contracts. So if none of them work out this year, it's A-okay. Because then the Saints can go into the 2026 NFL draft, which we all know is forecasted to have a much deeper quarterback class in 2025, and get their guy with the first or second overall pick in the draft if none of these guys pan out. Well, I want to go into depth about these three candidates for the Saints starting job this year and unveil who my personal favorite is to win the job. So let's start with Spencer Rattler. And we all saw quite a bit of Spencer Rattler with the Saints last year, and we can all admit it wasn't particularly great, as he had 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. General rule of thumb, it's never good to have more interceptions than touchdowns. And in the games in which Spencer Rattler played for the Saints went 0-7. And so Spencer Rattler is yet to win a game as an NFL quarterback. Let's take a look at Jake Haener. Yes, he had iconic rookie pictures. We all remember those from several years ago. But as far as performance goes, he got some PT last year and completed 18 of 39 passes. And that ratio isn't particularly great either. Like Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener went 0-4 in the games in which he played for the Saints last year. So he, too, has yet to win a game as an NFL starter. Not a particularly great track record for either of those two guys. But let's shift our focus to Tyler Shough now. And I'm going to say it. Tyler Shough is who I endorse to be the Saints starting quarterback this year. I'll just put that out there, because if you go back and look at Tyler Shough's tape with Louisville, you'll see that he has great mechanics, great pocket presence, has a fantastic deep ball. He's a very accurate quarterback, and just generally has a great cadence and great composure as a quarterback. Statistically, he had 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions for Louisville last year, which is incredibly efficient. But what I think is the most beneficial trait for Tyler Shough is that if he wins the starting job for the Saints, he will be a 25-year-old starting quarterback in the NFL. And historically, just looking at these past several years, guys who make their first start at 24 or 25 years of age, they've translated because they're mature, they're seasoned, because they have more experience than most rookies out there. There's not as much of a learning curve. Guys that start their first NFL game at the quarterback position at age 20, 21, even 22, there can be a learning curve. It can be rough. It can be overwhelming. For somebody who's 24 or 25 years old, like in the case of Tyler Shough, they've had a lot of time playing the quarterback position. In college, they've had a lot of experience. So when they're inserted in that position where they're a starting quarterback in the NFL, they're that much more poised, they're that much more composed, and that much more prepared to excel at the position. There's not as much of a learning curve. Tyler Shough played 7 years in college. And some may say that's a long time. And I'll admit, it is. But in this case, this could be leverage for Tyler Shough, just because he has so much experience and he's a seasoned quarterback and ready to go if you plug him into a game, I feel like, because of that. Now, I will acknowledge the downside here. Despite the fact that Tyler Shough has a high ceiling, he could very well be a flop as well. And I acknowledge that, because Tyler Shough is one of those guys whose draft stock skyrocketed in the second half of the period between the Super Bowl and the NFL draft. And historically, if you look at guys that's happened to, they haven't really turned out great because their perceived value can be higher than their actual value. So the question at hand when it comes to Tyler Shough here is his ceiling really that high? Is he really that good? Or has he received a disproportionate amount of hype from analysts these past several months? His stock skyrocketed because several analysts really endorsed him and promoted him, and his name started to get floated out there more and more. A lot of people didn't even know who Tyler Shough was in the middle of March when his stock started to rise. So like, who is this guy? And so that's a risk, but that's the risk that the Saints took when they drafted him in the early part of the second round in this year's NFL draft. They're betting on his upside. They're betting on his high ceiling. They know it could be a flop. They know it could be a result of certain analysts really hyping Shough up. But they're betting on his upside. They believe what he can do. And so, for that reason, for what we saw of him in Louisville this year, and the amount of experience that he has, and just his tangibles and his intangibles as a quarterback, I think that he stands out from the other two, Spencer Rattler and Jay Kaner, as the clear favorite to be the Saints starter this year. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to discount it. I could picture a scenario where either Spencer Rattler or Jay Kaner excels in training camp, and either of one of those two edge out Tyler Shough. I can see that. And if you're the Saints, you should go through the process and the motions of having quarterback competition. You should by no means declare a winner before training camp. You have to go through the process here. But looking at this from a bird's eye view, from what we've seen historically, I think that Tyler Shough is your clear-cut favorite to win the Saints starting quarterback position this year. And like I said, if you move forward with Tyler Shough and he flops, you try Rattler out and he flops, it's not the end of the world if you're the Saints, because these are guys on their rookie contracts. If you win 3 or 4 games this year, you get a high pick and a quarterback-rich draft next year. You can get the number 1 or number 2 overall pick. And you could get a guy, a quarterback, that could enable you to be set for life as an organization. Who knows? That could very well be the scenario. The Saints, because they're getting that $30 million in cash and salary cap relief as a result of Derek Carr retiring, they're going to get more and more cap space as time goes on as well. So they'll be able to spend more money on guys. That's beneficial for the Saints. I've been interacting with a lot of Saints fans on this channel recently, and I love y'all. I appreciate your support, but y'all been very down on yourselves and your team recently, saying that the future looks grim, and it's tough to be a Saints fan, and I get it. This is a dark time right now, especially coming off of such a long era of having Drew Brees and Sean Payton there. Those were glory days. You won a Super Bowl during that time. You were fixtures in the playoffs. And now, it's rough, and the future is uncertain here. But stick with me here, Saints fans. I love y'all, and I'm going to promise you, the future is brighter than it seems. You've got 3 quarterbacks you can experiment with here. If one pans out, great. If they don't, back to the drawing board. And as time goes on, yes, you've been in the red for the past several years, but that cap space is going to get freed up more and more. You're going to have more money to spend. So, Saints fans, the state of New Orleans, the state of Louisiana, lock in here. Everything is going to be okay. So, to sum it up here, congratulations to Derek Carr on an incredible 11-year career. Saints fans, you're going to be okay. And I endorse Tyler Shough as the Saints' clear favorite to win the starting quarterback position this year. Let me know what y'all think of this take in the comment section below. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day.